저는 지금 매킨토시 본사 앞에 나와 있습니다. 지금 제 뒤에 보시는 매킨토시 로고가 정말 강렬한데요. 매킨토시 본사는 약 200여 명 분들이 근무하고 있습니다. 제품을 생산하는 공장과 그리고 제품의 R&D 센터가 따로 저쪽에 마련되어 있는데요. 공장 탐방 시작으로 R&D 파트 그리고 매킨토시 CEO인 찰스 랜달의 인터뷰까지 지금 바로 시작합니다.
My name is Frank Tavares. I am the Operations and Production Engineering Manager here at Mcintosh in Binghamton, New York. You can just kind of go through equipment real quick. So this is our surface mount area. So basically what we start with is a screen that we're screening the solder paste onto the circuit board. Goes through 3 robotic placement systems, so it uses a camera to align the component to the pads, so where you get all the finger alignment. From that, it then goes through a 3-stage oven and then a cooling process to melt the solder, cure the solder, and then it cools it back into place to hold the components in place. This machine, all these small components are what are being put on by this machine. So this is the axial, this is putting on all the resistors. So any of the resistors that are on surface mounted, this is a through-hole application, putting on your resistors, which you're here bending it, putting it through the hole in the circuit board, forming the ends over, trimming them to length so it holds it in place so it can move to the next operation. So this is the radial, so this is taking and putting your capacitors and transistors that are going to be put in the same thing through hole, taking it off of a belt basically, clips, putting it through the holes, bending it and trimming it to length. So from there it's going to manual placement of components that are either too large to go through the other machines there. So they have their little board, a map here that's telling them what system they're building, tells them where they're putting their components, and then also putting the Kapton tape on the backside to ensure that you do not get solder paste sticking to the features that you don't want solder on. This is where the solder is actually being put on the board, so it is basically being screened to the back side of the board. So you're going through the same kind of thing. You have a ramp up on the heat, so that way you bring the board to temperature and you don't blow any of the components on the board. So this is basically your pre-test, so this is where they test the circuit boards. So all the fixtures for the different circuit boards are stored on the racks here, and he's doing the physical testing of them. So it's water jet, so what they do, they're cutting the glass here, start with a 10,000 PSI pilot hole, then they ramp it up to 60,000 PSI to cut it. You add the garnet to it, and that's where you get the clean cuts. So now when you cut it, you're gonna get
on the back of the glass. So any artwork, even if you wanted to do like a special edition for Korea.
So this is where we wind our auto formers right here. So she basically has a map that tells her what wires go on, how many winds for each wire, and then she's swapping them out at the different layers. We're doing transformers, so start with the coil winding, putting the connectors on, laminating and stacking it up. So what he's going to do now is we put these in a can, what we call a can, and then you pour the tar. So it's going to go here to be tar potted. So he's just clearing that off so he can rotate more parts around.
So first step is wash. Because the metal has the oil on it. So the wash takes all the oil off, but also has acid in the water to etch the metal so the paint sticks well. After the wash, goes into the big oven to dry, out of the oven to paint, back into the oven to bake, then cool down, and then done. This is finished. I think MA 7200 or MAC 7200.
So this is final assembly, and this is basically where all the different components come together and they're actually putting the systems together. So you have all your glass, your metal, your circuit boards, your heat sinks, your transformers. So this is where everything comes together and gets assembled. So this is final test. So before they put all the covers on and everything, they test the system. They'll be adjusting their gains on them, just making sure everything's functioning.
But believe it or not, dollar-wise, this is only about 45 days. This is about $6 million worth of inventory. Hi, I'm Charlie Randall, president of Mcintosh Laboratories. Started my career here at Mcintosh in 1985 as an intern student. So this year's our 75th anniversary. Obviously very proud of the 75th, just as we were the 70th and the 50th, but the 75th is a pretty major milestone, and when you look back at all of Mcintosh's accomplishments, from being at the inaugural address of Lyndon B. Johnson to Woodstock to Wallace Sound, it's just a great heritage that the company has, and we're proud to celebrate it this year. Multiple products to celebrate the 75th, because we've never really done a complete system or offered more modern day product, but we have some really key products that were introduced in recent years that really are special enough to commemorate the 75th anniversary. So we're giving the customer a choice instead of dictating, what that anniversary unit is. It's not tagged as a 75th anniversary product, but it's just a cool tie-in to the 75th, because the product didn't come out in the 1950s, because we didn't start making loudspeakers till the 1970s. So really that speaker is about 50 years old, versus the ML1 is a sought-after collector's piece. There wasn't a lot of pieces of the original one made, and because people want that nostalgia look, we figure why not satisfy the need and bring it back so people that really want it can enjoy it. So the signature, or the sound signature of the old ML1 to the new one is very similar. The major difference really in the build or design of the product is really in the materials that the drivers are made out of. The original ML1 had foam surrounds, and if you can show me an original ML1 that still has the foam surround, then I'll tell you I'd make a driver with a foam surround, but I know that's not possible. They just don't exist. They couldn't stand the test of time, right? One, I think when we brought out the ML1, we didn't expect them to still find them on the used market 50 years later, right? I mean, typically a speaker is you know, good for 10, 20 years, you think, and especially during that time frame, and then you'll buy a new one and move on, right? But nobody throws Macintosh away is the problem. To all the Macintosh fans in Korea, I just want to say hello from Binghamton, New York. Please help us celebrate our 75th anniversary, and also Royco as well, as they are celebrating their 35th anniversary, and they've been a great partner for Macintosh over the 35 years. And obviously Korea is a major market for us in the Asia Pacific, and it's really because we have fans like you. Thank you.